What do such diverse films, like the gender-bending teen rom-coms She's the Man and 10 Things I Hate About You, have in common with such films as Akira Kurosawa's samurai epic, Ran, or the zombie apocalypse comedy Warm Bodies, or even Disney's animated classic, The Lion King? I imagine that you have guessed, based on the title of this talk, that all these stories come from the mind of one man, William Shakespeare. In fact, according to the International Movie Database, there are over 1,300 films which credit William Shakespeare as the writer. The Guinness Book of World Records lists his works as the most popularly filmed of any author. Last year alone, over 30 new books, biographies, and criticisms were published about the bard. Operas, ballets, television sitcoms, Broadway musicals, comic books, and even board games are produced every year based around the life and works of this one man. But why? Why is there so much attention focused on a writer who most students dread in school? Why do we care about his plays when, on average, 85% of adults don't even bother going to see live theater, and only 40% are reading books? Because he speaks to us, bringing us dreams of love and telling us stories, sad stories, of the death of kings. Let me tell you a little story. A story about a man who wanted to be the center of attention, for the world to revolve around him. A man who wanted to be king. He would use and abuse and curse any of his loyal followers, and then toss them away. He was even willing to commit murder and set an assassin upon his rival. Ultimately, he was betrayed and overthrown, losing his kingdom. You might recognize this as the story of Joe Exotic from the popular documentary Tiger King. But the same Shakespearean scheming can be found in Macbeth, Richard III, or King Lear. Shakespeare writes of universal themes, situations that people from all walks of life experience at different levels of intensity. Well, it may not rise to the level of murder, but we have all witnessed that overambitious class president, the neighborhood organizer, or the office supervisor, who will seemingly stop at nothing to get what they want. Shakespeare cautions us that those people are out there, and if we are not vigilant, we may be their collateral damage, if not their target. Themes of unrequited love and impetuous lust can be found in A Midsummer Night's Dream and Romeo and Juliet, reminding us of how to proceed across the shifting sands of passion. Through his plays and poems, Shakespeare speaks to our humanity. Yet the lessons we can learn from Shakespeare's works are only a fraction of what his words do for the world. In his writing, he elevates language to the highest form of art like no writer before or since. There is a reason why we sit in a darkened theater to take in the tapestry of language he weaves. His speeches are rich with imagery, metaphor that calls to our hearts. So many come to mind, like the waves tumbling into the shore, that I don't know which to speak first. Oh, that this too solid flesh would melt, Hamlet laments. Macbeth, on the news of his wife's death, grieves, Out, brief candle, life's but a walking shadow. Similarly, the fool Jacques proclaims all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. Or Romeo's exultation, but soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. And those wondrous words that Miranda exclaims, O brave new world that has such people in it. Yes, there is a reason we listen to these words again and again. Words flowed like jewels from Shakespeare's pen onto the page, and we are the inheritors of his vast wealth of words. But the riches are not only of language, but also of character. Characters molded in detail and dimension as to seem like old friends, friends who can make us mourn in the midst of celebration, or laugh in the midst of sorrow. This is why people still weep with the parents in the Capulet's tomb over the bodies of Romeo and Juliet, or cry out in vain to convince Claudio or Othello to believe in Hero and Desdemona's innocence. Whether we watch on as Beatrice and Benedict trade barbs, or follow hard on the heels of King Henry as he leads us in a charge, and even witness the mad, tormented Titus as he takes his revenge, we know them as we know ourselves, as Shakespeare knows us. As we draw close upon the date of William Shakespeare's 456th birthday, one of my favorite television shows comes to mind. Star Trek, in which they have hundreds of Shakespearean references and quotes, even with many of the episode and movie titles referencing Shakespeare, like By Any Other Name, The Conscience of the King, Dagger of the Mind, and The Undiscovered Country. If Shakespeare is being quoted in the 23rd century of Star Trek, I think it's safe to say that the Bard's legacy is secure, even here in the 21st. Yes, we have many reasons to love Shakespeare. His universal themes, his beloved characters, his beautiful language, and his truths. Shakespeare is not of an age, but for all time, for the past, in the present, and far into the future, for tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow, to the end of recorded time.